Hey y'all, welcome back to Ascending with Ashley. I'm Ashley. Um, we are going to be doing a class about the matriarch tonight in college. And so I did some research yesterday and yeah, let me get my computer. Y'all, guess what? Okay, if you're not familiar with what the matriarchy is, or matriarchy, I don't know. Matriarchy is, I feel like I'm saying that totally wrong. That's women-led society, women holding the positions of power within family, right? So right now we live in a patriarch. Men have that power, but there is a big wave of, there's a shift right now within our society, global society, in which the matriarch is coming back, right? So it's mostly, okay, listen to this. Matriarchy is a social system where women have the majority of power and authority, and where women are revered and hold a higher status than men. Most indigenous, well, I don't want to say most, I hate using that word as a classification, but a lot of indigenous people before these one god religions had like clan systems, and I don't mean like KKK clan, I mean like living in small groups in small villages, right, in which women were, and capitalism and colonialism have made sure to end that, right? This isn't just and so there is a large wave of women because of, I feel like it's a spiritual, like we are in a spiritual warfare, right? But I feel like women, especially who embody the divine feminine energy, right? Like we're going to use our divine feminine deck, but are reclaiming their way, right? Men ain't shit, especially if the divine men, because the patriarch harms, let me calm down. The patriarch harms men, even though it has men in systems, right? But I think the most interesting thing is the timing, the time frame in which matriarch held power. Human society was matriarchal or women-centered from the Paleolithic era, 1.5 to 2 million years ago, until around 3000 BC, right? So the transition to patriarch is generally accepted that the transition from matriarch to patriarch happened around 3,500 years ago. Okay? That's not a lot of time when you look at how long the planet has been alive, for millions, right? And like the patriarch has killed the planet, which is also divine feminine, right? Plants, fruit, vegetables, trees, right? Things that we as humans need to survive. And that's what initiatives of land back are about, right? It's about returning the land to indigenous or native folks because they understand and have relationship with the land that people with colonial lineage don't, right? Unless you work really hard at getting that. And even still take leadership from, not take leadership, follow the leadership of indigenous folks, right? There's a couple tribes in the world that have not been harmed or touched by colonialism or capitalism yet, but there are protectors in the Amazon rainforest too, right? People who are still living on the land like that. And I don't know if that's a matriarch system or not, but ultimately what we're trying to draw the connection between is how men holding power within the system has only led to destruction, not balance and fruition, which is what the divine feminine coming into consciousness, right? And calling the divine masculine into consciousness too, having men heal from the patriarch, recognize their own divinity, and understand how the patriarch also harms them, right? Because it does. So that's what we're going to be talking about. Also, I just really quick want to go through a couple of the animals because I did look up what animals are matriarchal. A big one that most people know about is elephants. Elephants exist together. They have their babies. They stay together, the mothers and the babies, right? Orcas are also matriarchal. Spotted hyenas. Lemurs, all right, which are in Madagascar. Honeybees. Bonobos, which are in the primate family, right? Ants. Ants are matriarchal, which I really don't like ants because I see them as colonizers, but their teamwork is really good, and so that makes sense. I mean, I personally just don't like it when they come into my house. So honestly, when I look this up, I'm like, oh, okay, I got a little bit more respect for the ants. Lions. A pride of a lion is usually made up of related females and their cubs, right? Much like the elephants. And then meerkats as well. A pack of meerkats has one female in charge who acts as the sentry to watch predators. Stop it! Anyway, so just on that, let's go ahead and get some... I think that one of the things that I've really reclaimed, I'm the matriarch in my family, which is very different from the family in which I grew up. My father passed away when I was 14 or 15. And that shaped my reality very differently than the women in my family. And I also liked spending time at my friend's house because I just didn't really enjoy my nuclear family situation at home, mostly because of abuse. Not like, I mean, it is abuse, but it wasn't like physical abuse for the most part. There was some though. But anyway, all that to say is I grew up with a lot of my friends, and I grew up with a lot of friends who had single moms, or the mothers were central to the inner workings of keeping the house going, right? And so I got to see other ways to live, and I had a lot of friends with single moms, so I got to see what that looked like. And I don't know if I manifested that for myself or not, but when I got married, I didn't realize how, and I think things have really changed, especially within the past like 5-6 years, I would say, specifically mostly because of TikTok and the way that people are sharing, predominantly women are sharing about their unhappiness within marriage, the weaponized incompetence in which men place more emotional labor on women, right? There's this big wave of women standing up for what they know to be true for them. And also, we have the ability through equality that we've received to have checking accounts, have bank accounts, get jobs, right? We have destroyed glass ceilings within my lifetime, you know? And so I think that's really important. I feel like we could get there. There's a lot of governments that women are receiving more, like, what is it? I think, is it Norway? I know there's one country, like, the entire government is women. Government is all women. And just goes to say, when women are in charge of things like this, Barbados is the only republic in the world where both the serving head of state and the head of government are women. Honduras, the Marshall Islands, Mexico, Peru, Tanzania are republics where the female president is combined. No, but there's in Europe. Norway? Is it Norway? I don't know. We can Google that later. But ultimately, when women become in these positions of power, they don't just look out for themselves, right? They look out for other women, right? That's the process of coming into divine consciousness, and embodying that divinity within you is recognizing that within others, right? So like when women have, and I'm not trying to make this a hetero cisgendered conversation, but I am speaking to, you know, those are more social constructs, and I'm totally on board with, you know, you expressing yourself whoever you are. That's not what I'm trying to do here, but I am just saying for the matriarch to exist, it is women in charge, in positions of power, women making the decisions, again, because they don't just make those decisions for them. They make those decisions for the other women around them, the other families, the men as well. We benefit the men as well, right? And that's the thing. Men don't recognize the harm that patriarch does to them. But you're not supposed to be a hot-headed, sweaty ball fucking scratcher all day long, right? You have more to live for, right? And that's the thing. The evolution of men feels like it's gone backwards, whereas women feel like they are recognizing, because they don't want to deal with these men who are evolving backwards. But the men believe that they're in the right because they've been told that by the society of patriarch, right? And again, we're talking about 2 million years versus 3,000 years. Okay, if that was money, which would you rather have? Okay, the entire planet, 2 million years. That's crazy that men have just been in power for a good, 3,000 years and, everything's dead. That's wild. Right? That's wild. It's wild to think about. Okay, so I am pure strength. I honor my anger by giving it voice. Yeah, right? Love is divine and I am nothing except love. These are values of the matriarch. This is the divine feminine. And that's the thing. When women... Did you guys see the woman in New Zealand? I can't say that word. Zealand, start the haka yesterday in Parliament. Maybe it was today. I think. And we're on, totally opposite sides of the world. But fuck, the haka went crazy. And then the old white guy was sitting in, he's in the position of power. That's a really good representation for what we're talking about. Women ruling, and her, she got up and she started the haka and she, ripped this paper that they were talking about. And then there was an elder sitting next to her, and the elder's eyes, you have to look this up. It's going all over TikTok right now. And then, everyone who isn't Maori stood up and respected that the haka was happening, and those who were joined in, and it took over Parliament. Anyway, she got suspended. But fuck yeah. All right, that's that anger, right? That's that righteous anger. And as women, when our children at a global scale are being... Women and children are being raped and kidnapped and imprisoned and sold for sex and for slavery and bombed and dismembered. And this is happening right now. And it's just women all over the globe are grasping to have the matriarch back, because when matriarch is in place, it balances out nature with humanity. And that's, again, what the efforts of land back are all about, right? And that's a global fucking movement. Carrying and stewarding the land that is alive. The planet is alive. The planet is alive. And the men in power... And yes, there are women in power who also serve the patriarch, who also do that, right? And that's one of the reasons I don't have relationships with any of the women in my family, is because I am reclaiming matriarch. And all of them are either within cis-hetero relationship or honor the patriarch within their family, their nuclear family. And I'm no, we're not doing, no. Okay, so my soul knows the way, and the only way out is through. And that's that process we're in right now. But we, again, 3,000 years versus 2 fucking million. And matriarch isn't about, and I think this is a conversation that women, especially white women, have a hard time with when it comes to race, is, especially with the Black Lives Movement, white women have a hard time conceptualizing, Black folks having that equality, but then want to talk about women's equality, right? And that's the second wave feminism, right? The white feminism, because people forget about Black and brown women not having those same rights, even within the feminist movement, right? And there's still not a coming together of that, which totally understand why you wouldn't want to work with white women. I get that. I don't either. But that's the thing, is like white women especially are able to talk about the equality that women don't have when it comes to sex and gender. But then when it comes to race, it's like they refuse to do that work, right? And that's a problem. So the matriarch isn't about women taking power from men and just stepping into those positions, right? Which is what a lot of white folks think that equality really means, is that black and brown people, and that's why white supremacy has rehatched the movement that they have on the fascist right side, right? Is because they're afraid of becoming the minority because they know how they've treated the minority, right? We're talking about race as white folks. That's what these Trumpers really are scared of, is being treated the way that they treated others, right? And that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about rebalancing. And even folks who do, I mean, there are some people who want that, right? And you can't understand the struggle unless you've been through it, right? So to each their own on how they feel about that. It's you don't have to have an opinion on how people feel. But just to say is like, matriarch is about balance. It's not about taking power away and exerting more power over. And that's the thing that men and the patriarch and white supremacy or supremacists at all can't really, because, white supremacy isn't just white people, right? There's people of all races, again, same as the patriarch. You hold up these systems, and most of the times, because it has been developed so meticulously within systemic operations, people don't even recognize what they're doing, right? That's why we do the daily decolonizing work. I'm going to run out of time. I like doing my class before class here. My soul informs my every step. I do what my heart compels me to do. Right? There's nothing about fuck men in these cards, right? It's all about centering yourself, becoming the best version of yourself, looking out for others, respecting life, respecting journeys, right? It's not about power. And that's the system we live in right now. It's about power, control, obedience, greed, right? If we had matriarch back in place, like it was for, again, 2 million years, like literally the entire planet is dying within 3,000 years. That's wild. We're not even at 3,000. Right? I mean, I don't understand the whole change of time when it came to Christ, but the BC shit. But like, we're at what is the year? 2024? It's not even 3,000. Y'all got the power and you fucked it up. We will get back to balance. All right. I am in service of divine love. I move the way love asks me to move. All right. I love you guys. Thanks for being here. 2 million years. Everything was cool. And then men took over. Okay. Have a good one.